Welcome to today's video. Thank you for joining us. Today we will be talking about trading Asian session. Now, viewer discretion is advised. Please, if you have not checked out our previous videos on trading M and W reversal patterns, please check those out because this is similar but much more complicated. We do not advise you trade Asian session because, as you can see, as I have pointed out many times before, it is this. This is what Asian session mostly consists of. Just chop, chop, chop. And if you don't know how to trade it, that chop, chop consolidation, you're really not going to have a good time, So today we will be discussing trading Asian session and how it is done, how you can do so, because it is possible. I know I have been telling people not to do it, but I guess I should say, or I guess I decided to make this video because you guys have came to the point where you'll understand this. I believe you'll understand this because you understand the M and W formations that I've been showing you, as well as the concepts behind the M and W formations. So this is very similar to an M or W, basically the same concept, but since it is at Asian session, it is a bit more challenging if you don't know what to look for and if you don't know what you're doing. Also, what are fractals? Fractals are what I'm going to be showing you. Every M or W that I have shown you, or every setup here that I will show you, is a fractal of the same concept or the same idea. It's all the same, but it's a variation of the same concept. Kind of like we call a rock, but no two rocks are the same. Or like no two human is the same. We're all different fractals, but we're all humans. It's very similar. No two setups in Forex are going to be the same. So don't expect to see this exact same pattern. A lot of people say, a lot of people look for perfect M and W setups, and that's great because they do occur, but learn to diversify. Learn to find the variations of the patterns, the fractals, the patterns within the patterns. So this is the Great British Pound we're looking at versus the US dollar. This was about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, last week. This setup occurred. I did not take it, as I was not trading at the time, but I did see how it played out, and I've seen this happen so many times before, and I said, I have to make a video about this because you guys have come to the point where you understand now why, you understand the concepts. So now I'm going to get on with the video. Here we have the high of the day. The high of yesterday let's say this is today. Let's say we're in Asian session right now. We're right here. All of this already occurred. This is yesterday's high, the high of the previous day. And then we can see Asian session, London session came up, and then Asian session consolidated and worked that high, but did not break it. It worked the high of yesterday. And what does that do as well? There are different variations here as well, where it doesn't have to work the high. There will be times where at Asian session changeover, this blue line here that's marked, you can see it marked here as well for every day. At every changeover, I have them marked. You should have them marked too. If you use TradingView, you can right click and go to timescale, session changeovers, click that, and it'll show up. So at session changeover, like we've talked about before, a lot of times there is a spike in either direction, and this spike will sometimes spike up and work or hit the high of yesterday or the low of yesterday. Now what they're doing here as well is opening the spread, and because at session changeover, at this session changeover point, the dealer can manipulate the spread. So he will suck up orders on the other side of the high of the yesterday and trap people on, or trap buyers up in this area, in that stop hunt area. So that's just another variation. That did not need to occur. Why is that? Because on GBP USD, or on most GBP pairs, I don't know about you guys, but I have a massive spread at session changeover. A lot of times it's 5, 6, sometimes 8, 10 plus pips. Well, from the point at which the candle closed right here, and the high is 13 pips. The dealer just needed to open the spread 13 pips for a split second, manipulate the spread 15 to 13 pips in a split second to grab the orders on that other side. Now, he could have done this and left no evidence of it at all. There's no candle, nothing. So he then worked that high for how long? Well, he worked the high of the day for 7.5 hours. This was Asian session. And then the high of yesterday was worked for about 13 hours. So in total, there was about 13 hours of working yesterday's high, where they were spiking up, inducing buyers, and then at the end of Asian session, coming into London session, it dropped, and then you can see Asian session, there's kind of that little M, but that M doesn't matter, because it wasn't at the high of the day. So what we do see though is this M. Now that's a really ugly M, but it is an M. And we also see this M, or you could say a triple top formation, or a head and shoulders pattern, whatever you want to call that. But the whole point is that the dealer was working yesterday's high. He came up and consolidated. There was a reason he consolidated at the place, at this range in which he consolidated, was because there were trapped orders here in this area. He could not bring his candlesticks into that area, but he could manipulate the spread at the time and spike up into that area with the spread, and also consolidate in that area, working the high for an extended period of time. Now, here's another variation of the same pattern. Here we can see the large M formation. Okay, where exactly could you enter in this? Well, you could have waited, could have placed a point of, a reference point, like a trap zone or something. I personally put like boxes up like this, where price is previously spiked into, and then you could have taken this as a sell or this as a sell, just seeing that that Asian session was working the high there. Try and catch the high of the day in correlation with yesterday's high. So going back to this large M formation, here we can see this massive M, but then there's a gap right here. The gap comes up, and you could have taken that sell right there, working the high of last week. And you might say, but Dylan, they're not at the high, and it's not at session changeover. Well, guess what? It's Sunday. That's an excuse to make spreads go crazy, right? On Sunday, there's crazy spreads. So you better have a larger stop loss or something, because the spread is obviously going to be much larger. So expect this area of liquidity to be activated already. Even though the candle only came to this point, expect the high to have been reached by the spread. You could have sold there seeing that this was Asian session, or you could have waited a bit more, and then what do you know? Another stop hunt exactly to the high. Exactly to that high, right? So the high of this day in correlation with the high of the previous week. Both M formations. This is how I want you guys to think. This is how you should be thinking. There's no type of structure. I don't look at a certain one certain pattern. I'm not obsessed with like head and shoulders pattern. Oh, there's a head and shoulders pattern right here. Yeah, this is a sell, you guys. I don't take those into consideration. Those are retail trader terms. Those are retail trader concepts. I want to elaborate for you guys. I want you guys to look beyond the veil. You know, look behind the scenes, what's actually happening, and take that into consideration. So here we have once again this fractal, and I'll just keep this frame right here for you guys for like 5 seconds, and I want you to see this fractal and memorize it and show me where it is in here. Just like try and like see in your mind where this is in here. Alright, time is up. This is basically an exact replica of what happened here, just flipped, right? Look at that. The exact same thing. We have this was a new week. There was actually, we traded this. Yeah, we caught these pips. That was great. There was this gap here that also induced that spike down to fill that gap. That spike down also created that low of the day. That low of the day, and then the next day the dealer did not break that low but worked that low. Okay, we can see the session changeover. Yep, just like the previous structure, just like the previous fractal we looked at. 14 pips from the high, or from the low, excuse me. It's basically the exact same, just inverse, upside down, right? So you can see these happen all the time, you guys. Once you have the eyes to see them, it's a whole different ball game, right? We can also tell by the wicks. It's a dead giveaway. These wicks are spiking to the low. They're spiking, and they're not taking out the low of the day or the low of the previous day. They're working the low of the week here. This is actually the low of the week because this is the new week. So, I'm sorry, I gotta stretch a little bit. Grab some water. Alright, so the low of the week is being, we can see that trap zone here, and the trapped liquidity will not escape as long as we spike down and don't go into that zone. So we can spike down and then open the spread up 10, 12, 8 pips to grab the liquidity in this zone and keep it in this zone. Add liquidity to this zone. right? And then drag the market, drag the sellers against the market after working off the low. Now we can see there is that W formation. Oops, that W formation right here. Also, somewhat of a W here and a W formation right here. Now, this was kind of the giveaway. If you didn't have a chance to enter Asian session, it looks like London session, they came back for one last grab. Yeah, that was just about the opening of London session. One last grab into that zone, into the where the little hands are, the little spikes, the little wicks. Just think of those as little greedy hands. Those wicks. Little greedy hands just grabbing for money. They grabbed their last grab for money, and then what did they do? Reverse the market on you. Completely went the opposite way. So, here it is once again. Here we have the high of the day, of this day. Then we can see that Asian session was just working this high. And then there's that M formation that formed the high of the day, and then it dropped. We caught that for a good 50 pips. There's so many. This happens a lot, you guys. I'm not going to say it happens like all the time, but it does happen quite often. This shouldn't be what you're looking at to trade all the time. Here we can see, you know, a similar structure, similar fractal. This was the previous week. The low of the day was formed there. And then we have the gap about a 30 plus pip gap down to then work the low. You have to ask yourself why did it gap down? Well, yesterday's or the previous day's low is in that area, right? So that's what they did. They worked the previous day's low. You can see this candle was the candle of the opening. This one obviously had the most spread on it. All of the other candles will not go below this candle because there's so much trapped liquidity here. That it doesn't pay to go any lower. But you can see the little hands once again grabbing for as much liquidity as possible. Grab, 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 and then just like the previous day or the previous one we saw, London session there's that last grab, London session, to take the money and run. Last grab at the low. Now you can see this as a W formation like so. You could see it as a W formation like this. Or you could see this W here, or maybe here, but it's all, all the same concept. So, I mean, I could go and point these out all day for you guys, but there's a time for learning and doing homework, and that is now. So, I'm going to end this video now, and you guys got to do some homework. Got to go back into your charts. Literally just go back into your charts and just look and say, why did that happen? Why did that spike up happen? Why did that spike to the low happen? Why did that happen? Why did this happen? Why are they consolidating here? Just ask yourself these questions. Question everything. So, thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, please give it a thumbs up, a like, subscribe, share. Check out forexcommunity.online. That is our online community of traders from all around the world that share their analysis in this basically like a chat room that we have, and it's awesome. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us once again. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Peace out.